After our mother remarried, my younger brother discovered from our father's belongings that our grandfather's family was a military political dynasty. He became obsessed with becoming the crown prince of Beijing's elite circles and chose to live with our grandfather first. Yet grandfather only had him farm, herd sheep, practice calligraphy, carve seals, and focus on his studies. He never got a chance to appear in any public events. Meanwhile, I stayed with the Jiang family and was raised by my stepfather. I ended up becoming his right-hand man and climbed my way into high society. It wasn't until after my brother finished his college entrance exams and returned home that he found out I was going abroad to study with the princess of Beijing's elite circle, and that we would marry upon our return. In a fit of madness, he killed me, and we both were reborn at the moment when I had to choose between Grandpa and Mom. This time, he hid behind Mom and said, "I'm not going back with Grandpa, my dad is right here." I quickly grabbed hold of Grandpa's coat sleeve. "I've had enough of being ordered around and treated like a dog." After Dad passed away from illness, he left behind 2 children, my younger brother River and me, Leaf. Mom quickly remarried to a new stepfather, devoting all her attention to him and their unborn child. That's when my grandfather, whom I'd never met, showed up and said he wanted to take my brother and me away. My mother said angrily, "You didn't contribute a single penny when we got married, and I've never even met you before. Now you want to take both children away. These are my children too. Even though I've remarried, I can't bear to let you take them all. If you insist on taking one to care for you in your old age, then let's hear what they have to say." Before she could finish, my younger brother grabbed his stepfather's hand and said, "Dad, you must be tired from standing. Let me make you some tea." He then stood adoringly behind his stepfather, called out, "Dad," in a clear, sweet voice, and promised that from then on, he would only acknowledge him as his father. My mother was absolutely stunned. When she decided to remarry, my younger brother was firmly against it, pregnant and caught between her deceased husband's young child and her new partner. She was utterly overwhelmed. Now, to everyone's surprise, my brother is taking the initiative to extend an olive branch. He's willing to accept our stepfather, and has even promised to change his surname to match his tomorrow, fully embracing him as family. She's always favored my brother, so of course she was delighted that he's chosen to stay of his own accord. My younger brother tugged at our stepfather's sleeve while calling out to me, "Brother, make sure you stick close to Grandpa." As I was packing my bags to leave with Grandpa, he openly mocked me. "It's your turn in this life to taste hardship and till the soil." I knew exactly why he was so smug. In our previous life, he had discovered our father's keepsake box, which held a highly prestigious military medal and Dad's final letter. It stated that his father's family came from a long line of military and political leaders, wanting a better life and to escape the feeling of being an outsider in his stepfather's house. He immediately grabbed his grandfather's hand during the selection and said he wanted to go with him. He got his wish and followed his grandfather home, but what he saw when they arrived left him stunned. His grandfather lived in an ordinary small town, in a self-built house surrounded by dense, ancient forests, with very few young people around. Grandpa's only sources of income were farming and foraging for herbs in the mountains, relying entirely on city buyers. If the harvest was poor and no buyers came, there'd be no money. River lived under his grandpa's strict discipline, with no room for coddling or spoiling. He had to get up at dawn for breakfast, then walk or take the bus to public school. Even after returning home, there was no rest. Grandpa would make sure he finished all his schoolwork and extracurricular assignments before pushing him to exercise. I even had to go herb gathering with him on weekends, with 0 recreational activities. River made his own life sound utterly miserable. He dreamed of having butlers, servants, a lavish mansion, a life of luxury where everything is handed to him, a chauffeur-driven school run, attending elite schools, and mingling with the children of high-ranking officials. Meanwhile, I had it all, even more than he could ever imagine. While he was wearing the traditional Chinese gown his grandfather had tailored for him, I was out with my stepfather, swiping the black card. With designer clothes from the latest collection and luxury watches all delivered straight to our home, when he was still a greasy-faced, acne-ridden teenager, forced to drink bitter herbal concoctions by his grandfather, I was getting braces under my stepfather's arrangements, with a personal training team helping me lose weight, burn fat, and sculpt my body. He claimed to be the long-forgotten son of the Jiang family, while I was the one shining in the spotlight. before I even turned 16. Numerous influential families were already extending olive branches, seeking powerful alliances. I followed my stepfather's lead with humility and caution, standing out at every major event. I was not only his public face but also the only young master in the eyes of outsiders. He had a crush on Chloe, the Beijing socialite princess, and even threatened suicide to pressure his mom into introducing them. When she refused, he protested, "I'm a Jiang too, why am I not good enough?" His stepfather and younger brother stared at him coldly. "Look at you, stuck in the mud with your grandpa, living like a peasant. You can't even handle finance, English, wine tasting, or golf. What makes you think you're qualified?" His grandfather firmly brought him back home, insisting he focus on the college entrance exams. He wasn't allowed to return during winter or summer breaks until his results came out. He brought a medal to show his grandpa, who puffed on his pipe and dismissed it as junk he'd picked up while collecting scrap. "Stop wasting your time," he said, "put your energy where it matters." While he returned to town for the college entrance exams, I performed a solo at my coming-of-age ceremony. 02, my stepfather comes from a musical family himself, and under his guidance, my fingers became exceptionally nimble on the piano. Under the grand crystal chandelier, I played my solo. Rose to take a bow. The chandelier's glare dazzled my eyes, and I stirred the hearts of every young woman in the room. Later, rumors spread, the Jiang family has leaf, and in Beijing's elite circles, Chloe is the belle of the ball. When the college entrance exam results came out, River eagerly grabbed his transcript to share the good news, only to find out about my involvement with the Beijing socialite he had a crush on. At that moment, my stepfather was discussing study abroad plans with Chloe's father. River greeted him, and Chloe's father responded with a warm, polite smile, but as River turned to leave, he sighed and remarked, "I heard your ex-wife brought along 2 sons, what a shame. One of them turned out completely hopeless. Leaf, on the other hand, is so well-mannered and polished." I could practically smell the lack of refinement on the other one the moment he approached me. River completely lost it, burst into my room and choked me with a death grip, screaming, "Die, die." I fought back with all my might, smashing a decorative object against his head. We died together at 18, only to return to the crossroads of fate. In this life, he chose his stepfather without a moment's hesitation. He said to me, "Now it's your turn to be ruined. Sticking with that wretched old man will destroy your future. Might as well embrace being a country bumpkin for life. Grandpa's place really isn't well off." Mom and Dad's relationship had soured by the end. She didn't feel obligated to support Grandpa financially, and she never paid a cent toward my upbringing either. The only time she'd show up was when picking up River for summer or winter break. Just a quick, perfunctory visit for appearances. After all, even when Dad was alive, Mom wasn't particularly kind to her. She often complained about Dad not making enough money, judging by the pregnancy timeline. She'd already been involved with my stepdad before Dad passed away. Grandpa set up a special room just for me. Aside from the most basic necessities, it only contained a square desk neatly arranged with traditional calligraphy tools, ink, brushes, paper, and inkstone. Grandpa took me for a walk around the fields. It was midsummer, unbearably humid and sweltering, with the earth so parched that cracks had formed in the soil. While watering the plants, Grandma told me, "You chose this path yourself. No turning back now. Grandpa thinks I've been with the Jiang family for too long and wouldn't be able to handle this kind of life." In my past life, not long after River followed me here, he called his mom asking to go back home, but she refused. After all, in her imagination, Grandpa's family should be 100 times more prestigious than the Jiangs, enough to get him into the most elite circles in Country Z. Or at the very least maintain the affluent lifestyle she had with the Jiangs. I picked up the tools and started watering the plants with Grandpa. "Grandpa, I don't regret it. I love this kind of life. It feels more alive." Grandfather stared blankly for a moment before murmuring, "You're nothing like your father. What was my dad like when he was young?" I really wanted to know if he matched the image in my memory. After all, my strongest impression of my father was the perpetual sadness that seemed etched in his eyes and brow. Grandfather's face suddenly turned stern. Without answering my question, he said directly, "Since you're with me now, you'll follow my rules. I have a short temper and high standards. Go get some rest." In the evening, I drifted into a deep sleep to the chorus of frogs and cicadas outside my window. Books were piled mountain high on my desk, and the sight made me want to bolt. Even after 2 lifetimes, I'd barely touched the basics of academic knowledge. Studying and practicing calligraphy just couldn't compare to socializing outdoors. Public school wasn't any better than private tutoring, so I had to grit my teeth and trust that hard work would make up for my shortcomings after class. But no matter how late I struggled, Grandpa stayed up with me, keeping watch and clearing his throat whenever I started to nod off. I jolted awake and blurted out, "I'm sorry. I was wrong, I'll fix it right away." My muscle memory kicked in faster than my brain could process. Grandpa looked at me with a puzzled expression and asked, "What's wrong? I would never hit or scold you. Did you used to get beaten often?" I answered truthfully, "Yeah, I got beaten." Grandpa let out a deep sigh. "Maybe you should just call it a night and get some rest." I shook my head. "No, if I let myself take it easy every day, I'll never catch up on my grades. And my handwriting will never improve. I refuse to believe I can't do this." Grandpa stared at me for a moment and said, "I'll go shoo the cicadas away. Their chirping is getting on your nerves." I could clearly feel how much Grandpa cared about me, even though my exam results were terrible. He would sit with me and go over every single mistake. The clothes weren't name brands, but he'd have the seamstress next door take my measurements. The fabric was soft and incredibly comfortable. Grandpa never said it out loud, but I knew it pained him to see me like this. He really wished my mother would come visit. Having lived 2 lifetimes, I'd long stopped yearning for maternal love. I didn't want her to come either. On the rare occasions she did visit, it was just to take some photos together, all for maintaining her public image. Every time, their eyes were filled with disdain and the awkwardness of not knowing where to step. Suddenly, music drifted in from the doorway. Muscle memory took over, and my hands instinctively moved into position. Grandpa stood in front of me, shielding me. I followed Grandpa outside and saw River playing the violin, poised like a proud and elegant red-crowned crane. When the piece ended, his eyes were full of pride and scorn. Not far away, my stepfather and mother walked hand in hand. Mom's belly was already quite large. She gazed lovingly at her stomach, then at River. But when her eyes fell on me, there was only distance and coldness. Only when he got closer did he feign surprise at seeing us. "Oh, hello, uncles. I didn't notice you there earlier." My stepdad started showing off again, completely ignoring everyone else. "River, the passage you just played should go like this. Here, let me demonstrate. Uncle and Leaf can listen in too." River tugged at my stepdad's sleeve. "Dad, let's go home. Mom said you were her artistic inspiration. Could you give me some more guidance too?" I almost laughed out loud. Artistic inspiration, more like one was swayed by looks, the other blinded by money. "You just had to bring the drama from home and set up a whole stage here, didn't you?" River and my stepdad had my mom sandwiched between them. My mom nodded and said, "Leaf, listen to your grandpa. I'll be heading off now. Uncle, brother, could you walk me out? I'd like to spend a little time with you." Leaf asked to have a moment alone with me, and I had a pretty good idea what he was up to. "You saw that medal, didn't you? Let me do you a favor and tell you, it's a fake. Grandpa was just some country bumpkin," Leaf said with a gleeful smirk. "By the way, did you get an invitation from Sophia's family?" "Oh, I forgot. Big Brother's been stuck in this godforsaken backwater for so long, he's been completely written off by El City's elite circles. Beg me, and I'll take you along, but, TSK, you'd just embarrass yourself. You wouldn't know the first thing about fitting in." As he spoke, he casually flashed an expensive wristwatch. He was waiting for me to react with anger, regret, or frustration, but I showed no emotion at all. Instead, I just asked her, "How long has it been since you last truly tasted your food?" A single sentence was enough to make his face change color. "I have no idea what you're talking about, you country bumpkin." With that, he got into the car, looking almost like he was fleeing in panic. I slowly made my way back home, where my grandfather awkwardly brought out a cake and said, "It's your birthday today, have some cake." I don't know how you used to celebrate at the Jiang family's place. Truth be told, it had been a long time since I last celebrated my birthday. The taste of the cream melted in my mouth, blooming and tantalizing my taste buds. Music relies on natural talent, but to become famous, looks play a huge role. My stepfather firmly believed that having outstanding looks was enough to make it big. Because of this, I developed body image anxiety from my teenage years. Even something like water retention would lead to physical punishment from him. Teenagers are at an age when their bodies are still growing. I often got so hungry at night that I couldn't sleep and would raid the fridge. If caught, I was forced to vomit. Eventually, my stomach developed a reflex. Whenever I ate beyond a certain point, I would throw up automatically. For performances, my stepfather would buy me expensive custom-tailored suits. To fill out those clothes, I had to aggressively consume protein powder to bulk up. My body was already pushed beyond its limits. I once went to my mother to complain, but all she said was, "Your stepfather is doing this for your own good." His harshness felt less like nurturing an artist and more like crafting a delicate puppet. It was then I realized that what my mother and stepfather wanted wasn't a son, but an obedient commodity. After my brother was born, my stepfather dropped all pretense. Every sentence became, "For your brother's sake, you must strive to be even better, otherwise, when he grows up, there will be no place for you in this family." My mother wholeheartedly agreed, "Your brother is our hope. You must marry into a powerful family to secure his future." 3. But my stepfather's heart was never settled. He had a string of affairs outside, and even after my brother was born, he didn't change. Mom hoped to win him back through me. She noticed that whenever I won some award, he'd look at her with more respect, so my life grew darker. Anything that could earn a prize, whether I could handle it or not, was forced on me. But my body just couldn't take it. "Hurry up and eat, it's going to melt." Grandpa's words snapped me back to reality, seeing how I now stood a head taller than in my past life. With lean muscle on my arms and legs from all the hard work, I felt an incredible sense of solid ground under my feet. Grandpa slipped another bead onto my neck, wishing me peace and safety year after year. I'd seen this bead on my dad before, but Mom threw it away during one of their arguments. Besides Dad, Grandpa is the second person who's wished me well like this. "Grandpa, my English is really terrible. Could you find me a tutoring class?" I'm a bit embarrassed to admit it, but in my past life, my English was just barely passable for basic communication, nowhere near good enough for standardized tests. I hung my head in shame. Our family wasn't well off, and yet here I was making this request, but my English skills were truly holding me back. Grandpa paused for a moment. "English, huh? Why don't you ask Grandma Victoria across the street to take a look? She's really into that sort of thing." "Huh, you mean the Grandma Victoria who knits covers for every appliance and piece of furniture? That's the one. I'll have a word with her tomorrow. You can go see her right after school." It seems the family's really struggling financially. Can't even afford tutoring. I quietly resolved to work part-time once I start college. Got to hand it to Grandma Victoria. Her English is something else. Crystal clear pronunciation, just like a recording. After a year of cramming, they finally pulled me through. I actually passed my English final for the first time ever. After class, I grabbed my test paper and dashed home excitedly, shouting, "Grandpa, I passed, I passed." When I got home, I noticed the Jiang family's car was parked outside too. Mom frowned and said, "Look at you, covered in sweat and acting like this. Is passing an exam something to be so proud of? Your brother just won another award for his musical instrument." Grandpa pulled me behind him and said, "Leaf is under my care now. If you have anything to say, say it to me." I suddenly felt an overwhelming pressure from Grandpa, but when I looked again, it seemed like just my imagination. "Uncle, not at all. It's just that River won an award, and the TV station wants to interview the family. Since it's summer break, I thought I'd bring Leaf back too, to give you a bit of a break." Grandpa stayed silent, and I knew he was waiting for my opinion. I figured having one less mouth to feed would ease the family's burden, so I said goodbye to Grandpa and left with my mom. We didn't speak a word the entire car ride. It was already evening when I got back to Zhang's place. River hadn't returned yet, but only 3 sets of cutlery were laid out on the dining table. My stepfather spoke to me condescendingly. "No manners when you come in, don't even greet anyone. Skip dinner tonight. Wouldn't want you bloated for tomorrow's interview." I just sat down and started eating without saying a word. My stepfather gritted his teeth and said, "Wendy, look at Leaf. I'm trying to teach him how to behave, but see how spoiled he is by his grandfather." Just as my father was about to lose his temper, I calmly remarked, "Kids tend to get indigestion if they eat too late. In that case, my little brother shouldn't eat either. The TV crew is coming for an interview. You can't possibly expect me to tell them on camera that I'm not getting enough to eat. My stepfather fell silent abruptly, like a chicken whose neck had been wrung. After finishing the meal, I went back to the guest room but couldn't sleep well. I kept feeling itchy all over and ended up scratching red marks all over my neck. The next day, my stepdad looked at me in shock and asked, "What on earth happened here?" Before I could even respond, River chimed in with a sneer, "Dad, don't even bother asking her, you should go check our bed sheets first. I'm worried his rough skin might have scratched them up." I was just as puzzled. I'd been sleeping perfectly fine at Grandpa's place. How did things end up like this? I couldn't be bothered to argue with them. Instead, I just shut myself in my room to practice calligraphy whenever I had free time. The TV crew came today for setup. The actual interview isn't until tomorrow. I know this all too well. I've been through it countless times in my past life. We arrived early to set up the stage and scenery, ensuring each light was positioned perfectly on everyone's face, and rehearsed the questions and answers in advance to avoid any surprises. The second young master is truly a prodigy, a rising star in the art world, the manager remarked as he was being shown around River's trophy room by his father and stepmother. But at a glance, I noticed something was missing. The most prestigious Golden Lily Cup wasn't among the awards. Given my past life experiences, and the faint pleas for mercy and the whooshing sound of willow branches cutting through the air from the basement every night since I returned, it doesn't take a genius to figure out what kind of life River leads behind closed doors. While I was still in a daze, the director pushed open my door again. My stepfather couldn't stop him in time, his words trailing off mid-sentence. "Our Leaf usually lives with his grandmother, and we don't have much say in his upbringing. As you can see, I knew exactly what he meant. He was using this interview to distance himself from me. River, who stayed with him, is dazzling and accomplished, while I, raised by my grandfather, am nothing but coarse and unrefined. It's not just a contest between the kids. It's like his dad and my dad have been utterly crushed. From now on, anyone who sees him will have to say, like father, like son." The director had just stepped inside when he saw my calligraphy and immediately exclaimed, "What beautiful handwriting! Look at how full and rounded the characters are, executed in a single, fluid motion. It really carries the essence of Master Way's style. You know, Master Way, who's retired from writing. They say you can see a person's heart in their writing, and the young master here is truly a hidden talent." I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. This director was laying it on way too thick just to suck up to my family, but my calligraphy was painstakingly taught to me by my grandfather. "Who's this Master Way? Never even heard of him." It was my mom who snapped out of it first, pulling me aside and saying, "Yes, yes. Our Leaf has a steady temperament and has always been fond of calligraphy and painting." Before I knew it, all the attention shifted to me. They asked if I'd won any awards and who my teacher was. I brushed it off casually. After all, I didn't want to steal the spotlight from River, but because of their praise, River's hatred for me became almost palpable. The next day, when the real interview began, a scream shattered the silence. "Dad, the antique watch you bought for me at Christie's is missing." River, dressed in a well-fitted suit, said anxiously, "Dad, I'm sorry. I've lost the gift you gave me for my 15th birthday." The director exclaimed in surprise. So the mysterious buyer of that wristwatch turned out to be Mr. Daniel. My heart aches for the young master. The stepfather put on a perfectly timed troubled expression and said, "I only meant to give my son a one-of-a-kind gift, but now, then," from the shadows, he shot a glance at the younger brother, who mumbled while pointing at me. "Big brother, second brother, room," went in. It seemed like he said nothing at all, but the implication was clear. He was accusing me of taking it. My mother's eyes welled up with tears instantly. Having been her most devoted son in my past life, I knew those tears weren't out of concern for me. They were for maintaining her image now that this incident had been exposed on camera. "I didn't take it. I only went into my brother's room because River told me Dad's photo was in there, and if I wanted to see it, I should ask him. Since I didn't take it, I obviously wasn't going to admit to it. For my mother, the best way to handle this now would be for me to admit I was jealous of my brother and stole the watch, then for them to magnanimously forgive me, ending with a picture-perfect family reconciliation. But I'm not the person I was in my past life anymore. her maternal affection is something I no longer crave. I stubbornly refused to admit anything, which made Mom so heartbroken she fainted multiple times. My stepdad put on a convincing show of concern for her, while River perfectly played the vulnerable victim. In the end, I was ordered to be locked in the basement until I learned my lesson. An intern from the production crew couldn't stand watching anymore and whispered, "The young master is wearing what looks like a Z bead around his neck. A Z of such fine quality could be worth as much as that wristwatch. Why would he need to steal it?" River, afraid the truth would come out and ruin his image, snapped sharply, "It's just a worthless bead. Some old geezer probably picked it up at a flea market. Trying to pass it off as something as valuable as my watch is absolutely ridiculous." As I was being taken to the basement, all I could think was, "This is bad. I promised Grandpa I'd go see him today. The old man's going to worry himself sick over this. Being locked in the basement doesn't scare me. I was a regular here in my past life anyway. There was a minor slip-up during the performance. Bummer. Didn't manage to chat up any of the young masters or misses at the banquet. Tough luck. Couldn't get a date with the girl. Bummer. But I never imagined that with River's instructions, my mom's deliberate indulgence, and my stepdad's feigned forgetfulness, I was left without even basic food and water. Just a wall away, I could hear their family's laughter and cheers, celebrating the success of today's interview. After 2 days, I felt like I was dying of dehydration. When hungry, I could still scrape at the wall or bite my nails, but when thirsty, I couldn't exactly drink my own urine. On the brink of passing out, I saw the basement door open. A figure stood silhouetted against the light, radiating an imposing presence that reminded me of my grandfather. Just before blacking out, it hit me. My grandpa was just a simple country old-timer, yet he'd gone all out for my sake, risking life and limb. I woke up in an elegantly rustic room, tastefully decorated and far more luxurious than the Jiang family's humble abode. I pinched myself. Was this a dream, or had I somehow traveled through time? "Young master, you're awake." The voice beside me startled me. Did I actually travel through time? I looked up and saw my backpack. Thank goodness, I hadn't actually traveled through time. Even by dinner time, I still couldn't believe it. Me, a young master, where's my grandfather? I had so many questions. This never happened in my past life. The master instructed that you should go to the study to see him as soon as you wake up. I tiptoed into the study and felt as though my grandfather had become a completely different person. The walls were covered with medals of honor, and the antique cabinets were filled with rare and exotic treasures. Though I couldn't identify them, they looked incredibly valuable. "Awake, if you're awake, come with me." Grandfather didn't address any of my burning questions. Instead, he called for his bodyguards, each standing ramrod straight, and they took me directly to the Jiang family's residence. Upon arrival, he had the bodyguards block the entrance. "It's time we settled our accounts." Grandpa's demeanor shifted dramatically, no longer resembling the humble old man from the fields. "Uncle, you're trespassing on private property. Are the security guards just for show?" My stepfather dropped the act and yelled for security. "Nothing serious, just discussing the watch." "You said Leaf took it." "Leaf, did you take it?" Grandpa casually removed the beads from his wrist, fiddling with them as he asked me. "I never took it. They're just trying to pin it on me." I shook my head. River glanced guiltily at his stepfather, stiffening his neck. "Just because he says he didn't take it doesn't mean anything. That watch is worth 3 million. You filthy peasants couldn't earn that much in a lifetime." Grandpa snorted coldly. 3 million? You locked your own brother in the basement without even knowing if he took it, didn't even give him food or water." He pressed on, step by step. River stubbornly insisted, "For 3 million, I could have called the police and had him thrown in jail, out of respect for that dead man. I only locked him up for 2 days. What's the big deal?" That dead man referred to his father. He wouldn't even call him Dad anymore. Mom pretended to be the reasonable one. "Children who steal need discipline. You're spoiling him, Uncle. If we don't correct this now, others will do it for us later." Grandpa glared at him. "Fine. I heard your son hit another child at daycare recently. Since you won't discipline him, I'll do it for you." "Leaf, go take Oscar away." Before I could move, Mom screamed, "Don't you dare touch my son. I'll fight anyone who tries." Then she glanced behind me and fainted dead away. "Leaf, have you lost your damn mind?" Well, looks like backup has arrived." My stepdad charged forward trying to slap me. The bodyguard behind me reached out and stopped him. How dare you try to hit someone right in front of me? Leaf didn't take your things. If something's missing, call the police. Grandfather softened his tone while looking at River's face that so resembled his father's. Since you've also lost something, take this bead bracelet. River, apologize to your brother and you'll still be part of this family. With a flick of his hand, River sent the beaded bracelet shattering into pieces, scattering fragments that ricocheted onto his grandfather's hands. River lashed out again. This cheap green glass junk is worthless. I only want my wristwatch. I wish you'd just drop dead. Poor people shouldn't even have kids. Being around you makes me look pathetic. I only have one father. Who do you think you are? Then we'll have to settle this by calling the police. Apologize to your mother and your brother. The stepfather suddenly roared, trying to reclaim his authority as the head of the household. Even though we were at his place today, Grandpa had him completely outmatched from start to finish. No way. I shot back defiantly, grabbing Grandpa's arm to leave immediately. If you walk out that door today, don't ever come back. We won't pay a dime for your college tuition. River couldn't hide the triumphant smile that spread across his face at those words. He never stopped to consider, with a stepfather who has his own biological son, what does that make him anyway? Starting today, Leaf is part of our family. He has no connection to you anymore, and you have none to him. Consider the mother-son relationship severed from this day forward. The moment we stepped out, Grandpa took me straight to the police station. The whole situation felt surreal. There I was, sitting in the police chief's office, watching him fawn over Grandpa while serving tea. Of course, we'll investigate the matter of that wristwatch at the Jiang residence immediately. You really shouldn't have troubled yourself to come in person. By the time everything was settled, night had fallen. Grandpa was resting in the car with his eyes closed. And my restless heart finally found peace. Ask whatever you want, I'll give you half an hour. I looked at the person before me and said, I want to hear about you and Dad. Grandpa's posture visibly slumped, and it took him a long moment before he spoke with a strained voice. Your father was my only child, but he was raised far too naive. The story is a cliché. My father, a naive young man from a well-off family, met my shrewd mother. Grandpa disapproved of their relationship. But Dad chose love over family ties. Though he was deeply unhappy in that marriage, he never bowed his head to Grandpa. Worried that Mom wouldn't be able to provide for us after he passed, he finally reached out to Grandpa on his deathbed, asking him to take care of us. Little did he know Mom had already moved on with someone else. That night, Grandpa sat smoking his pipe for a long time. I dreamed of Dad for the first time in years. I wanted to ask if he had any regrets. But he just gently patted my head. That day, Grandfather handed me an invitation and said, It's time you went out and saw the world. At the banquet, I spotted River. His muscle proportions were unnaturally exaggerated, and he wore heavy makeup. I could tell at a glance that life hadn't been kind to him, and I knew exactly what his stepfather had tasked him with that night. After all, we're brothers. I hoped he could steer clear of trouble, so I warned him one last time. Take my advice, don't perform tonight. River gritted his teeth and snapped. Why not? You'll be the Jiang family's celebrated young master after tonight. What gives you the right to tell me I can't dance? How did you get in here? You don't even have an invitation. Security, get him out. Honestly, River is pretty clueless. After what happened that day, he should have realized Grandpa isn't as simple as he appears. Who knows what kind of nonsense his stepdad has been feeding him. The transformation from scrawny to perfectly proportioned definitely involved some technological intervention. Who dares to ask my honored guest to leave? The newcomer whispered in my ear. Grandma Victoria is my grandmother, and she asked me to look after you. This is Chloe, the long-admired princess of Beijing's elite circle that River has always talked about. She was also my girlfriend in my past life. I teased her. So how come you're not wearing Grandma Victoria's signature crochet jacket? Chloe shot me an exasperated look and handled the situation. Steward, please escort this gentleman out. He's bothering my date. Oh, Chloe, do me a favor. River is my guest. And who might this be? Miss Sophia shielded River behind her while giving me a lingering, disgustingly suggestive once-over. This Miss Sophia is notoriously known in our circle for being a man-eater. This is the grandson of my grandmother's old friend, and also the grandson of that person. Chloe crossed her arms with a sarcastic smirk as she warned her. She immediately straightened her expression and extended her hand, saying, "Young master, I've long heard of your reputation. I really don't want to have any dealings with someone who protects River." Chloe linked her arm with mine and we left. River's gaze followed the figure ahead, his eyes brimming with unwavering confidence. Faintly, I overheard Miss Sophia coaxing River, "I told you, you're my date tonight. Be on your best behavior and don't cause any trouble." "All right." I stood in the corner, watching as the spotlight fell and River began his solo performance. He stepped onto the stage with grace, his fingers dancing across the keys as fluid notes poured forth. As the final note faded, he gave a slight bow. Ready to bask in the adoration of his fangirls, led by Sophia's family, every woman in the audience broke into applause and praise. He waited, hoping someone would join him on stage for a piano duet, yet the crowd merely clapped, their eyes darting toward his lower body with unspoken, knowing glances. If River had been more observant, he would have noticed the other boys looking at him with pity, but at that moment, he was lost in his fantasy of becoming El City's most elite socialite after tonight. I warned him, but he was determined to walk into disaster. I didn't stop him. The next day, the second son of the Jiang family indeed trended on Weibo, complete with a breaking tag. The comment section is flooded with nothing but praise. Mom really does have such shallow standards after all. There were also photos of me with Miss Sophia that got released. Some sharp-eyed folks noticed the duo photos were slowly being taken down. Dad's belongings are still at the Jiang residence. River asked me to pack them up, but ended up blocking me in the room. He couldn't understand why, despite doing the same things as me, he didn't receive the same treatment I got in my past life. Chloe didn't study abroad with him, nor did she agree to marry him. Did you sleep with Chloe? Is that why she won't see me? Was it that damn old man who set you two up? He ranted, completely unhinged. Smack. I slapped him across the face to knock some sense into him. That slap was from Dad. You deserved it for insulting Grandpa right in front of him. He tried to fight back, but I pinned him to the ground instantly. I've been working the fields with my grandpa for years. How could some malnourished weakling ever stand a chance against me? Like a rabid dog, he still tried to lunge and bite me, but my stepdad showed up and slapped him across the face. You idiot. Who told you to make such a public scene with Miss Sophia and get caught on camera? My stepdad was fuming, breathing heavily like he was about to explode. 5. River was completely stunned. Meanwhile, I stood with my arms crossed in the corner, watching the drama unfold. He couldn't understand why he'd been beaten after shining so brightly last night, but I knew exactly why. So much for the young master of the Jiang family. It was all just a Jiang-style scam, a beautifully wrapped candy. The more exquisite its coating, the more it's treated as a rare commodity, yet in the end, it's still just meant to be consumed. Casual encounters with passers-by and riveting interviews on television were all setting the stage for last night's trending topic. Once the news goes viral, the Jiang family can sit back and quietly weigh their options, aiming to sell their meticulously groomed asset for the highest price. But the stepfather only had eyes for certain prospects, and few showed up, so he used that to draw attention and polish River's image. Sophia's family is decent, but a proud man like her stepfather would never truly approve of her. She's just a backup option at best. Keep her on the hook, but getting photographed together is out of the question. Once you're caught on camera, everyone assumes you're taken. How are you supposed to mingle with other wealthy women then? River was locked in the basement. How the tables have turned. After sorting through my father's belongings, I headed straight back to my hometown. Grandfather carefully traced every photo with his fingers, his eyes filled with sorrow. In the end, he was just a father grieving the loss of his son. I'll stay by Grandpa's side and help Dad fulfill his filial duties. For River, being confined to the basement is a blessing in disguise compared to what lies ahead, but they turned out to be even worse than I imagined. Treating River with far more cruelty than they ever showed me in my past life, I accompanied Grandpa to the hospital for his checkup. I saw Mom supporting a pale-faced River as they came out of the proctology department. 2 young nurses were whispering, "That handsome young man, severe anal fissures, fresh injuries every time he comes in, what a tragedy, you must be pleased to see me like this, aren't you?" River stood silently behind me, his presence faintly unsettling. Why hasn't Chloe come for me even though I listened to my stepfather? You did the same thing and it worked for you. What makes you better than me? He. Were you like this in your past life too? You and Chloe must both be such trash. River was starting to lose his mind. An unbelievable thought crossed my mind. Did your stepdad send you to a blue club? River didn't answer my question, just kept pulling his hair and biting his nails. Why hasn't Chloe come to find me? Because her affection for me had nothing to do with my performance that day. In my past life, my stepfather raised me to be nothing but a pretty ornament. I had a father once. And I know genuine nurturing shouldn't look like this, so I willingly catered to those young masters and misses, piecing together the truth from their scattered remarks. I knew that once I performed, all eyes would be on me, and I'd be put up for sale to the highest bidder, no matter how dirty, rotten, or foul the deal. If they had power and influence, I'd be sold off. My stepfather tried both sweet talk and threats, but I resisted all of it. I held out for 3 days locked in the basement. But in the end, his words broke my resolve. If you don't go, I'll bring your brother back. You know how some people have a thing for brothers. Both of them. My stepfather finally bared his fangs when his patience ran out. I had already made a name for myself in the circle before attending the party. My stepfather secretly encouraged me to mingle with various wealthy women, but with one strict rule. They must never find out about each other. It had to be kept under wraps. I had known Chloe long before the party. She always thought I was a gigolo and kept me at arm's length. Yet we met by the sea. I was ending my life. She was watching the ocean. We fell in love by the shore, embraced and kissed. Poured our hearts out to each other, and watched the sunrise together the next morning. She promised she would definitely marry me. What can I say? She's crazy, and I'm the one she's driven crazy. After we got home, she told Chloe's mother that she had always been into women before she met me. Chloe's mother rushed over to the Jiang family and insisted that I must marry Chloe. After handling the matter, she held me close and sighed contentedly. I'm amazing, aren't I? You're definitely mine. But we never made it to the legal age. After River and I passed away, Chloe also slit her wrists, as she put it herself. Dying for love isn't just an old legend. I asked her what she actually liked about me. She replied, I'm a fire sign, don't overthink it. Just trust me on this. Chloe told me all this after driving me home that night. She had been reborn too, so Chloe's feelings for me had nothing to do with that dance. What you desperately crave are the very chains that bind me. I used to be so paranoid that I wouldn't even drink water that left my sight, terrified I'd wake up being shipped off to some blue club as a rich man's concubine. What you cast aside like trash is heaven's blessing to me. Still, I must thank you. At least you brought Grandpa to me, sparing me the shame of reuniting with Chloe in such a wretched state. I took care of Grandpa for Dad for a while. River glared at me with pure venom, as if he wanted to devour me whole. He hissed through clenched teeth, 6. I won't lose. River married into the family of El City's wealthiest man as a live-in son-in-law. However, the heiress is already 40 years old and has 2 half-grown children. He used to look down on divorced women who remarried, but now he's eagerly pursuing marriage himself, proudly linking arms with his wife. He brought a group of journalists to the town to flamboyantly repay the pearl necklace debt. The string of beads his grandfather gave him, now shattered to pieces. He built up all the hype before setting out. Country bumpkin tries to extort billionaire's son-in-law with counterfeit goods. He firmly believes that everything I have is backed by Chloe's support, that she's exposing my poverty for all to see, leaving me nowhere to hide. All to prove that her choice was right, but you can't really blame him. She genuinely had no idea about Grandpa's family's true influence in her past life. When they arrived, Grandpa wasn't home. I was the only one there. Brother, open the door. I came to see you and Grandpa. Even if you don't want to see me, at least let me see Grandpa. I feel terrible about ruining his gift. I'm here to apologize and pay for it. I'll compensate 10 times over, as long as Grandpa can forgive me. Her voice trembled with feigned tears, every sob perfectly calculated. 10 times the compensation, 10 million for 1 string, 100 million for 10. Will that be by check? I said calmly. River's expression nearly cracked. Sis, we came here sincerely to see Grandpa. Don't joke about this. Even if you're desperate for money, you shouldn't try to extort 100 million with glass beads. I shook my head. Some people just won't face reality until it's staring them in the face. I even specially invited President Henry from the Antique Association to verify the valuation. After all, we can't have you losing money on this deal. President Henry, sir. The person I was calling out was instead staring at my neck. May I take a look at this bead, please? Without a word, I took it off and tossed it to him. The bead traced a perfect arc through the air. Henry's heart trembled along with it. Get the camera over here, quick, shoot this. It's the real deal. No, it's a masterpiece, definitely worth over 8 figures. Henry's voice trembled with excitement. Young master, may we step inside to take a look? Henry gazed at me with near reverence. Of course. But please address me as Master Leaf, as in. Sure. I made a silencing gesture, as Henry's voice grew increasingly excited during his introduction. This is Zhang brocade. It was once said to be worth a fortune per foot in ancient times, and you're using it as bedsheets. I nodded silently. This looks like last year's top jade auction piece. The buyer has been missing ever since. Why on earth would you keep it under the table? This table's a bit wobbly. Let's prop it up with something. Henry looked like he was about to pass out. He stammered, you, for what felt like ages, but couldn't get another word out before turning away to continue the tour. This is an authentic Wu Daozi masterpiece. May I ask why you've hung it by the window? I accidentally got it wet last time, so I'm letting it dry out here. Otherwise, my grandpa would say I'm not pulling my weight around the house. I explained matter-of-factly. Henry was completely numb. Meanwhile, River turned pale as the introductions continued, his gaze unfocused. Muttering, how could this be? These are just worthless junk. His wife, who came from the wealthiest family, was so embarrassed that she abandoned him on the spot. Henry completely lost control of his emotions upon seeing his grandfather's flower field. What is this? I'm asking you what this is. The cameraman was just about to get a close-up when he yelled at him to back off. Don't come any closer. If your left foot steps into the flower bed first. These flowers might just be in a bad mood today and decide they don't want to live anymore. Henry looked as if he were facing a great enemy. Pfft, they're not that delicate. I grabbed the watering can and went at it like a whirlwind. Henry was stunned. This is the legendary Su Guanhe Ding orchid. That one over there is a Guizhou dragon fossil. The combined value of this flower field might exceed our city's entire GDP. My watering can suddenly felt as heavy as 1,000 pounds in my hands. Grandpa showed up just in time to save me. Henry immediately fell silent when he made it clear he didn't want to discuss it, but this time, River truly lost his mind. The next thing we heard about River was that he had stabbed both of the Jiang parents. The entire Jiang family of 3 died overnight. Surveillance footage shows they had a violent argument before their deaths. 7. He resented his stepfather for tormenting him and sending him to a blue club that catered to both men and women. He also resented his mother for not speaking up to defend him. The pride I once took in it has now become a tool for social niceties. His resentment peaked when he returned home and was denied the shares he wanted. His stepfather taunted him. Look at your older brother. He worked his way into Chloe's family. You're just a good-for-nothing, still eyeing my money. It all belongs to your younger brother. Oscar chimed in like a parrot. Good for nothing, mine. According to the investigating officers, the scene was absolutely gruesome. River requested to see me while in prison. Grandpa, who is it really? He was still obsessing over that question. I told her with pity. Grandpa is a figure with red background connections in Country Z, involved in both military and political circles. If you had brought your achievements home first in your past life, the heirs Tianzhu would have been waiting for you. Grandpa bought the entire town. Those unassuming elderly folks you see were all people who made remarkable contributions back in the day. The clothes you wear are all handcrafted by master artisans. That humble old lady you often see at her sewing machine is the sole inheritor of an intangible cultural heritage embroidery technique. The scent you detest the most is ambergris, not some fertilizer smell. It's just that shallow people can't appreciate it. Foreign luxury goods are within reach if you grit your teeth. Even if you grind your teeth to dust, you still can't afford Chinese luxury items. All of this is a trial by fire for the next person in power. What a shame. You were just one step away. Nothing cuts deeper than crushing a person's spirit. When news of Mu River's suicide reached me from the prison, I was in a daze. He chose a gruesome way to die, sharpening a toothbrush and driving it through his throat. In prison, every piece of furniture is designed without sharp edges to prevent accidents. It's hard to imagine the sheer determination it must have taken for him. When Grandpa found out, he simply acknowledged it. This was the path he chose. And he had no one to blame but himself. I admit I'm a rather cynical person. I didn't want Grandpa to be too emotionally shaken by the news of Moyuo's death. This life is mine and mine alone. The weather is clear and sunny, with a gentle breeze, and both those who love me and those I love are by my side. Story 2. When the zombie hordes took over the city, I was at home, which I had already fortified by reinforcing the doors and windows. I was leisurely watching a TV series and snacking. I also regularly researched healthy recipes for my grandparents. Despite the chaos outside, we enjoyed a peaceful life. I was jolted awake by the ringing of the phone, completely disoriented. It took me more than half an hour to reach for my phone under the pillow. There were 5 missed calls, all from my uncle. Suddenly, memories overlapped, and I realized I had indeed been reborn, in my previous life, on this very day. Cedric, my uncle, had told me that his family needed to send my cousin to register and would need to stay at my house for a while. I thought about when they were supposed to arrive, which was in 5 days, next Monday. That was enough time. Back then, I treated them like family and agreed to almost anything they asked. Little did I know that I was harboring people with the hearts of serpents, which ultimately led to my demise amidst a sea of zombies. I could never forget that day. Cedric and his wife, Cecilia, forced my brother, who was still in a safe hotel, to deliver supplies, threatening to throw me into a mob of zombies if he didn't come. Eventually, my brother was bitten to death by zombies right outside the door. When they realized they couldn't get any food, they decided to use me as zombie bait on a sunny morning, tying me up and pushing me out onto the balcony. Why not meet your parents sooner? Cedric said with a smirk, caressing my face, which disgusted me, unfortunately. I couldn't curse him because my mouth was taped shut. A family should be complete. Your parents died by my hands, and now you will too. Isn't this perfect? He said. Hearing this, my pupils dilated, my blood ran cold, and I began to sob uncontrollably. Could it be that my parents were killed by them? Cecilia walked out of my bedroom, dressed in my clothes. Seeing my confusion, she came over with a smug smile, pushing aside her lustful husband. Since you're going to die anyway, let me tell you. Your parents' car accident wasn't due to the fog causing them to crash through the guardrail. We tampered with the brakes just a little, and that sent them straight to the king of hell. I turned pale instantly. My uncle owned a car repair shop, so it was too easy for him to tamper with the vehicle without the police noticing. Moreover, the roads back home were high and winding, and morning fogs were dense. Cars crashing through guardrails and falling down mountainsides were common. And no one would inspect the vehicles closely once they were found wrecked. My father never understood why his least favorite brother insisted on him coming home for the Mid-Autumn Festival and staying overnight. He never realized it was all for murder. Finally, they threw me out to attract the zombies. When I next opened my eyes, it was a week before the siege by the zombies. After recalling everything, I immediately jumped out of bed to wash up. The apocalypse was impending, and I couldn't afford to waste time hating them. I had to prepare everything within 3 days. No one knew exactly when the zombies would appear. If they came early, it would all be over. After washing up, I took a piece of bread and sat on the balcony to start preparing. I sent a message to Cedric first. I'm not home for the next couple of days, and my brother is away on a business trip. No one will be able to open the door for you. It might take 3 or 4 days. I put him off for now. My priority was to avoid the impending disaster. My family is quite wealthy. My parents fell in love in college, and my grandparents are retired university professors with extensive connections. They thought highly of my father and supported him a lot when he started his business. As our family's quality of life continues to improve and Dad's company grows larger, I suspect this might be the reason for my uncle's discontent, having been the favorite of my grandparents since childhood. He grew up to find himself overshadowed by his older brother, perhaps out of jealousy. He stooped to unthinkable lows against his own sibling. I called my brother who was at the company. Hey, are you busy? Not really. What's up? Can you come home after work today? It's urgent. My brother, often buried in his work, usually stays at a hotel near the office where he rents a suite. Can't it be handled over the phone? I have a meeting early tomorrow, and I wasn't planning on coming back. You have to come back. It's important. Colton was speechless for a moment. He glanced at his phone where the caller ID displayed Brianna, assuring him it was indeed his sister calling. Brother, you really need to come. Colton had no choice but to agree. Once he did, I checked the time, 10 o'clock sharp. I quickly changed my clothes and looked around on the ground floor. Many people know about this villa, and Cedric and others would be visiting in a few days, so I planned not to hide here. I drove to a hilltop villa in the suburbs, a property owned by our parents where they often come to rest. This hilltop villa complex was small, with only a few homes spaced hundreds of meters apart, each enclosed by high walls offering great privacy and security, an ideal place to avoid any impending disaster. After thinking it through, I immediately called a friend of my dad's who deals in construction materials. I ordered the thickest blast-proof doors, double-layered bulletproof glass, burglar-proof windows, and added one-way films, soundproofing materials, a rainwater collection system, solar batteries, solar generators, solar panels, and even electric fences to be installed on the perimeter walls. Then, I asked to have some protective measures added to our air conditioning system and requested that installation start by 1 p.m. today, and be completed by tomorrow afternoon at the latest. I was relieved that when we originally renovated, we didn't install floor-to-ceiling windows on the first floor, or else I would have had to block those as well. The contractor was quite surprised by my request and asked if something had happened. I told him I'd had a stalker recently, which left me feeling uneasy. Only these measures could help me calm down. Outraged, knowing he had some relationship with my dad, he cursed the non-existent stalker and promised to bring his best workers, ensuring everything would be installed today as I agreed to pay an extra 50% for the urgency. I then called my grandmother to tell her my brother was suddenly very ill and had forbidden me from hiring a nurse. Claiming I couldn't manage on my own and asking for their help, Grandma agreed immediately. Seemingly forgetting they were nearly 70 themselves, hardly the age to be caretakers, my excuse was hardly convincing. I insisted on picking them up myself, as it was a 3-hour drive from their home to the city and I couldn't bear the thought of them traveling alone, especially if the crisis hit sooner than expected. The two elderly would stand no chance on their own. At 1 o'clock, the renovation workers arrived. And at that moment, my brother called. Not at home. Ah. I'm at the Hilltop Villa. Oh, did you go back home? Yes, you said it was urgent. I couldn't just sit around. Why did you go there? Wait for me, brother. I signaled for the workers to continue and went up to the rooftop terrace. I was planning to discuss this when we met, because I was afraid you wouldn't believe me. After I finished speaking, there was a long silence on the other end of the phone. Colton found it incredible. Yet his sister's words felt so real. Brother, you have to believe me. If there were no zombies, you could call the shots later, but right now, please believe me. I believe you, Colton finally said after thinking for a moment. Tomorrow I'll join you to pick up Grandpa and the others. Right now, I'm going to give the staff a break at the company, and when you get back, we'll discuss this properly. The Hilltop Villa had 3 floors. I planned to use the 3rd floor for living, storing supplies on the 2nd floor and in the basement. While waiting for the workers to finish the renovations, I had already prepared a shopping list. By 5 o'clock, I returned to the downtown area, pressed for time, so I headed straight to the supermarket. 70 containers of 18L bottled drinking water, 50 cases of bottled mineral water, 50 bags of 30 kilograms rice, 30 bags of 20 kilograms millet, 100 kilograms of glutinous rice, and 20 bags of 30 kilograms starch flour each. 10 bags each of 10 kilograms green beans, red beans, soybeans, dates, and oats, 30 containers of 5L peanut oil, 30 containers of 5L rapeseed oil, 80 bags of salt, 60 bags of MSG, 80 bags of chili powder, 50 bags of white sugar, 80 bags of brown sugar, and 30 bottles each of 500 milliliters soy sauce, vinegar, and cooking wine, 20 kilograms each of ginger, garlic, star anise, Sichuan pepper, and cinnamon, 30 cans each of pork, beef, and luncheon meat, 30 cans each of peaches, lychees, strawberries, hawthorn, yogurt, and purple rice dew fruit cans. Probably because I was buying so much, it caught the manager's attention. As I reached the noodle shelf, he came over. Miss, sorry to intrude, but may I ask if all this is for personal use? No. Our company has a donation event recently, and these are all for donation to the mountain areas. I had prepared this excuse beforehand. Is it not allowed to buy so much? Otherwise, I'll just take these and buy the rest elsewhere. No, no, the manager quickly shook his head, clearly not wanting to let the business slip away. I was just worried you might forget something. Here, let me keep track for you. He then pulled out a piece of paper and a pen from his pocket and followed behind, noting everything down, 20 boxes each of coarse and fine flour, 5 boxes each of self-heating hot pots and self-heating rice, 20 boxes of instant noodles in 5 flavors, 10 boxes of snail noodle soup, 50 packets of hot pot base, 30 bottles each of beef sauce, mushroom sauce, chili sauce, peanut sauce, tomato sauce, and lao gan ma, 30 boxes of various snacks including potato chips, biscuits, spicy strips, seaweed, boneless chicken feet, 30 boxes of sugar-free snacks for the elderly, 50 bags of compressed biscuits, 3 boxes of 80 small sausages each, 20 large 380g sausages, and 30 boxes of various kinds of bread, 30 bags of adult milk powder, 50 bags of milk tea powder, 20 jars of honey, 20 cans of 500 milliliters coffee, 30 boxes of juice, milk, yogurt, cola, and various fruit wines, 50 bags of chrysanthemum tea, rose tea, and lemon slice fruit tea bags. I planned to purchase these first, and would wait until tomorrow to buy meat and vegetables after getting a new freezer. After paying, the supermarket manager arranged for delivery personnel. The address I gave was naturally where I was currently living, with the apocalypse upon us. More frightening than zombies is the human heart. Moreover, this was also a gift I had prepared for my uncle's family. By the time I got home, it was already 8 in the evening, and the lights were on, indicating that my brother had come back. Brianna, Colton heard the noise and came out to see 3 large trucks parked in front of the house. We exchanged glances, and Colton instantly understood. Brother, go move the cars out of the garage. Let's store the goods there first. The garage was large enough, eventually holding at least 2/3 of the supplies. The rest was placed in the living room. Did you get everything? That seems too little. We've only just started. There wasn't enough time, so I only bought the essentials. Have you sorted everything out at the company? It's all taken care of. Just then, my phone rang. It was a photo from my boss saying that everything was packed. Seeing the wall filled with electric nets, I felt somewhat relieved. Bro, you should go rent a truck now. We can't move everything ourselves, and if a zombie outbreak happens, those without supplies might come to rob us. Colton glanced at the pile of stuff and then at my skinny arms and legs, and decided to get some help. What are you doing, bro? I was shocked and asked him to stop. Aren't you just telling everyone we're hoarding supplies? It's Wang Yang, you should trust him, otherwise, with your skinny arms and legs. When will we finish moving? It'll be faster with 2 men. Hearing that name, I didn't object further. Wang Yang, the son of my dad's good friend and also a resident in our complex, had served as a soldier for 5 years and was discharged 3 months ago. Because of the trust people have in servicemen and having known him since childhood, I didn't stop them. Wang Yang arrived shortly, sporting a buzz cut and strong facial features, exuding an aura of integrity. I thought to myself, he's quite handsome. The 2 of them each drove a truck, bringing the supplies back to the hilltop villa. Seeing the setup around the villa, Wang Yang commented, looks like you guys are planning to hide out. Huh, you could say he hit the nail on the head. Tonight, I planned to store the purchased goods in the basement. The basement was as big as the main house, over 100 square meters, and had 2 floors. The first floor was an open space, furnished only with a set of tables and chairs and a sofa. I planned to place other large items there tomorrow. The second floor had 2 rooms and a living room. I put the shelves I bought there, along with the purchased rice, except for the water, which I stored on the first floor. All other items were kept here, just enough to fill the space. The next day, my brother went with a friend to pick up our grandparents, leaving me to prepare at home. I didn't go back to the supermarket from yesterday but instead went to the largest supermarket in the city center to shop. In the villa, there were already 2 500L double-door refrigerators. I bought 2 more 650L side-by-side refrigerators and 3 880L commercial freezers, as we would definitely need a lot of cooling space. I bought 3 of each appliance: rice cookers, induction cookers, electric kettles, ovens, and juicers, 5 each of woks, soup pots, and electric hot pots, 3 hair dryers, and the villa already had plenty of knives, bowls, and other utensils. I got 10 gas cylinders, although I had installed solar panels so I wasn't worried about power outages, but it's always good to be prepared. I ordered uniform black blackout curtains for the villa. Our clothes were sufficient. Mainly I needed to buy for our grandparents. They would likely only bring a few sets of clothes. Unaware of the situation, so I bought them 30 sets of clothes for both summer and winter. New underwear and socks were needed for 4 people, 20 sets each, 12 sets of bed linens, 12 cotton quilts, 12 down quilts, 12 pairs of slippers, and only the elderly needed sports shoes, 10 pairs each. Essential household items were a must, so I bought 20 boxes each of shower gel, shampoo, conditioner, soap, toothpaste, laundry detergent, and dish soap, 50 bottles of mouthwash, and skincare products too, 20 sets. And 50 bars of facial cleanser, 50 packs of toilet paper, 50 boxes of tissue, 100 packs of wet wipes, 50 packs of face towels, 32 towels, 20 boxes of sanitary pads. I bought 10 power banks with a capacity of 20,000 mAh, 20 rechargeable flashlights, and 10 portable fans. I thought it best to avoid using air conditioning to keep a low profile. We purchased 100 pounds each of pork, beef, chicken, and duck, along with 30 bags of meatballs, shrimp paste, lamb rolls, and fatty beef rolls. Additionally, we bought 30 bags each of frozen glutinous rice balls, dumplings, and wontons, and 50 bags each of steamed buns and steamed bread. We stocked up on 10 jars each of pickled vegetables, pickled long beans, pickled peppers, and 5 jars of spicy kimchi. We only bought 30 pounds of fresh vegetables since they don't last long, but we bought 50 pounds of potatoes and 20 pounds of onions, as they can be stored for a longer period. However, I wondered what we would do once we ran out of fresh vegetables. No need to worry, I've decided to set up a greenhouse on the rooftop and will convert the garden into a vegetable plot. We'll use drones to water and fertilize the plants. As long as no intruders break in, we can go out and pick fresh vegetables. I also bought 5 packets each of seeds for various vegetables like lettuce, cabbage, leeks, tomatoes, chili peppers, radishes, broccoli, onions, and beans. In total, we bought 50 pounds of fruit and 30 bags each of dried mango, dried strawberries, dried pineapple, and dried bananas. We stocked up on 30 pounds of cured meat, 30 bags of cured beef, 20 pounds of pickled fish, 120 eggs, 50 bags of marinated eggs, 50 bags of beef jerky, and 50 bags of chicken breast. I also bought some strawberry seeds and a few small fruit trees already blooming in pots, planning to place them on the rooftop because we can't go without fruit in the coming days. Worried about growing fruit, I bought 50 bottles of vitamin C. Finally, I bought 10 sets of protective gear and self-defense weapons, including batons, hatchets, long axes, crossbows, and bone-chopping knives. I arranged for the manager to deliver everything to our doorstep at 1 p.m. On my way home, I stopped at 3 pharmacies and bought all the useful medications I could think of, including fever reducers, cold medicine, ice packs, alcohol, iodine, and gastrointestinal drugs, totaling 3 boxes. I also made a trip to the hospital to prepare some necessary medications for the elderly, like blood pressure medicine. When I got home, my grandparents had already arrived. There were only 5 days left until the virus outbreak and 3 days until my uncle's family would come to the city. As soon as I got home, the old couple sat in the living room staring at me, and my grandfather asked why I had deceived them into coming. I missed you and was afraid you wouldn't come willingly," I replied. After retiring, they had settled in the countryside, preferring a return to nature. After chatting for a while, I persuaded them to take a nap as it was nearly lunchtime. "Brother, I see there's a Wuling Hongguang outside. Is it yours?" Colton nodded and led me to see it. Upon opening the car door, we found dozens of drones and 5 telescopes. "These drones are large enough to monitor our surroundings," he explained. I gave him a thumbs up, grateful he had thought of it since I had forgotten about it. I suddenly remembered the home surveillance system. "Brother, Cedric and the others will be here soon. Remove all home surveillance cameras tomorrow and install pinhole cameras instead." In the face of the apocalypse, people like Cedric, who are selfish and ruthless, are likely to turn on each other, and I didn't want to miss any of the action. The pinhole cameras would be less likely to be detected. Okay. I'll have someone take care of it this afternoon. The delivery of supplies will arrive soon, and once everything is unloaded, we'll head to the mountaintop villa. The supplies we bought nearly filled the entire house. We left a newly purchased freezer in the kitchen, and the other three were placed in the basement. All refrigerators and freezers were fully stocked. The 3 rooms on the second floor were also filled. Each outfitted with shelves, it resembled less a supermarket and more a convenience store. The curtains were changed, and my brother had additional surveillance installed around the villa. The rooftop vegetable garden was also secured with sheet metal to prevent it from being seen. Wang Yang came by twice, sensing something unusual, but my brother dared not say too much. He also feared it might all be just my imagination. So I only advised Wang Yang that it would be best to stock up on supplies and reinforce his house, just in case they might come in handy. Then he immediately went home non-stop. When we passed by his house that evening, workers were still installing explosion-proof doors and windows. He leaned against the gate smoking, nodding at us as we approached. "He's pretty quick," I said. "I'm dropping off some stuff for a few friends. You should do the same." I nodded. But it was a tricky situation to explain. All I could say was that I was in a good mood lately and wanted to give them some gifts. The next day, they all asked me what it was all about, why I was giving away explosion-proof doors and windows, and loads of food. I couldn't really explain, just said I've been watching too many zombie movies lately and got a bit paranoid about the apocalypse, so it seemed wise to stock up. The day before my uncle's family was due, I checked the mountaintop villa several times, feeling the supplies were still insufficient. In my previous life, I died while the virus was still rampant, and it was unclear when the zombies would disappear, so I had no idea how long these supplies would last. So, I immediately drove back to the city and bought a whole lot more stuff. Eventually, all these items ended up stored in the study and along the second-floor hallway. My brother decided not to meet with my uncle's family, fearing he couldn't restrain himself from harming them, so he made the excuse that he had to go back for our grandfather's birthday and let them stay at our house. We took our grandparents and moved to the mountaintop villa in advance, of course, also preparing for the arrival of my uncle's family. My brother even met with Wang Yang again, bringing 2 boxes of food. Facing the friend he grew up with, he couldn't just do nothing, worried he might forget the things our mother needed. I had my brother buy 2 boxes of female supplies and medicines, and also included 2 sets of bone-chopping knives and slingshot crossbows. "Hope we'll never have to use these," said Wang Yang. Later on, Wang Yang's front door was also fitted with an explosion-proof door and wired up with an electric fence, which got him a scolding from his parents, as my brother told me, after spending a night at the villa. My uncle's family arrived the next morning, just 1 day before the zombie outbreak. From that morning on, the internet started buzzing with news headlines like, "Pedestrian bitten losing half their face," "Person contracts unknown virus with full-body convulsions," "Cannibal incidents reported in certain countries." I thought to myself, the apocalypse has begun. My brother arranged for someone to bring my uncle's family to the city villa. They were polite in front of others, but their demeanor changed as soon as the driver left. At that moment, I was watching the surveillance footage on the computer with my family. I had already told my grandparents about my past life, but they didn't believe it, thinking it was too far-fetched, assuming I had just had a dream, until they heard the conversation of my uncle's family on the surveillance. "This big villa, how nice it would be if it were mine." My cousin Camila greedily eyed everything inside. "Don't worry, all this will eventually be ours," said Cecilia, calculating, when she married Cedric. She initially thought marrying a factory owner was quite an accomplishment for someone from a rural background. It was only later when she met my elder brother and his wife, my brother running a company with billions in annual revenue and his wife a full-time homemaker busy with shopping, floral arrangements, and yoga, that she realized the gap between them. And it was only over time that she discovered Cedric's factory was merely a shell, thankful to save 100,000 a year. My brother was a gentleman and scholar, my cousin illiterate and lazy, so Cecilia decided to take everything for herself. "Right, we'll deal with them one by one, the old ones first then the young, deal with Colton then Brianna, that young girl will just be at our mercy," Cedric said with malice. Except for me, the other 3 family members were so furious after hearing this, cursing them as inhumane beasts. My grandfather even wanted to confront them immediately if I hadn't stopped him. Grandpa. Grandma, no need to rush, their retribution will come, we just need to stay here and watch how they destroy each other, I said. My grandmother was in tears, she couldn't fathom that her own daughter had been murdered, and seeing her pitiful grandchildren only intensified her heartache. Brianna, you've had a tough time, Grandma said, holding my hand with a look of deep sympathy in her eyes. As long as our family is safe, that's all that matters. After composing myself, I asked my brother to fetch the bulldozer and lawnmower from the warehouse, ready to turn over the lawn and sow some seeds. Just then, Cedric called while I was sitting on a swing nearby, eating chips. Brianna, are you guys coming back tonight? No, Uncle, we won't be back until tomorrow morning. What's up? Nothing much, just wondering where we should stay. You should stay in the guest room. Hearing that they were to stay in the guest room, Cedric's tone changed instantly. And he hung up after a few words. I immediately took out my phone to check the surveillance. That wretched girl, her parents are dead and she still won't let us stay. She has no respect for her elders, Cecilia fumed, standing up from the sofa angrily. So she says it's the guest room. They won't be back until tomorrow anyway. Who's to know if we stay there tonight? Camila said nonchalantly, picking up her luggage and heading upstairs. Thinking it over, Cedric and his wife also started carrying their luggage upstairs. I scoffed, knowing well that these people wouldn't keep to their limits. You're still laughing, those trash are going to stay in our rooms and you can still laugh. Colton, who appeared beside me wiping sweat with his handkerchief, said, of course, I'm laughing, keep watching, brother, switching the camera to the upstairs surveillance. Cedric's family was carting their bags towards my parents and my rooms. Why won't it open? Camila tried the doorknob for a while, but it wouldn't budge. Cedric also couldn't open the room. They locked the doors, Cedric realized and shouted out loud. This was followed by a barrage of curses from the three of them, too vulgar to bear listening to, so my brother took the phone and turned off the surveillance. That evening, Grandma cooked dinner. 4 dishes and a soup, including tomato beef stew, steamed bacon, steamed eggs, and white radish soup. It was perhaps our last peaceful and blissful evening. The next day, I overslept and came downstairs half an hour before 3 p.m. From what I recall, in my previous life, the TV news at around 3 p.m. warned the public not to go outside and to lock their doors for their safety. I presumed that the zombies would appear in the city center by noon at the latest. After washing up, I came downstairs, and Grandma served me a bowl of dessert, which I ate sitting cross-legged on the sofa. I turned on the TV, but there were no reports yet. It probably won't break out here so quickly, right? Colton asked, sitting next to me. Maybe not, since we're tens of kilometers from the city center, but you never know if any zombies might wander nearby, I replied, then remembered something. Brother, maybe we should bring something to the security guards before the zombies arrive. The security lodgings for our gated community were nearby, with 8 people on duty daily, 2 at the gate and the rest patrolling. Colton suggested we first deliver supplies to their dormitory, as the security room was fortified against break-ins. If they didn't retreat to their dorms soon, we would deliver the supplies separately. We brought them some food and essentials as a token of appreciation. They had their own stun guns. At 3 p.m., the news began reporting incidents of people biting each other. I checked Weibo on my phone, and all the trending topics were about zombies. The day had finally come. Everyone was calling for help. Those who hadn't stocked up at home, those who couldn't leave their offices, those who couldn't leave their schools. Watching the scenes broadcasted on the news, my grandparents were deeply distressed. Sigh, the world is in chaos. The end of days must be near, Grandpa said, shaking his head. Old man, don't be too upset. As long as our family is together, that's what matters. We can't save the fate of others, Grandma responded, comforting him as he nodded in agreement. Reluctant to watch any further, I went back to the room with my wife, my brother, and I took out the drone to survey the situation around our villa complex. From the footage, we could see the neighbors locking their doors and windows, drawing their curtains, and the security guards hurrying back to their dorms. At the security station, 2 guards had locked the main gate and the door to their station before running off to their dorms as well. Will the main gate hold? I asked. It should be tough to break down. I remember checking it before. It's only slightly less sturdy than a blast door. I nodded. somewhat reassured. Although the zombie outbreak had just begun, it was better to be cautious. My brother and I turned on the electric fence and lowered all the curtains, securing the house tightly before returning to our respective rooms. It was 5 o'clock. My brother knocked on my door while I was dreaming of being chased by zombies. Waking up drenched in sweat, he poured me a glass of water. "Brianna, it's terrifying." He searched something on his phone, then showed it to me, footage of people desperately running, zombies kneeling on the ground eating, a reporter being knocked down by zombies, an elderly person abandoned on the street, and a child turned zombie chasing normal adults. Order no longer existed, life's safety was at risk, and the world was collapsing. Even though we had prepared for this and experienced it once before, I still felt incredibly scared at that moment. "Don't be afraid, Brianna, we're all together," my brother comforted me, patting my back gently. Although Colton appeared calm, his shaking hands betrayed his true feelings. Dinner was stir-fried celery with beef, potato soup, garlic broccoli, and sautéed cabbage. My brother and I grabbed 2 bottles of fruit wine, made tea for our grandparents, and the family meal felt somewhat somber. After dinner, I turned on the surveillance for the downtown villa. Cedric and Cecilia were checking what supplies were left. Camila lay on the couch playing with her phone, seemingly unconcerned about the chaos outside. "Hey, why is there only so little stuff? How long can we last with this?" Cecilia looked at the items on the table. A jug of drinking water, 10 bottles of mineral water, a 20-kilogram bag of rice, 10 packs of cookies, a cabbage, 5 tomatoes, 2 potatoes, and an expired box of instant noodles. These were the supplies they had found after searching the villa over and over again. "Don't they ever stock up on things?" Cedric wondered. His surprise was understandable. Every long holiday, this family would come to the city and stay at our place, knowing our fridge was usually full. Now seeing it empty was certainly unusual. Watching Cedric's expression on the monitor, I smirked. I had intentionally left these supplies. I couldn't let this family die off so easily at the start. That would be too easy on them. What's there to worry about? Aren't they coming back tomorrow? Just call them and have them raid the supermarket for supplies, Camila said nonchalantly, flipping her eyes as zombies roamed outside. "Yeah, call Brianna, not Colton, he's tougher to fool," Cecilia suggested. Cedric nodded and took out his phone to make the call. Just then, my phone rang, but before I could answer, my brother took it from me. "Brianna, where are you? Have you seen the news? Listen, you should go to the supermarket and get some stuff. We'll hold down the fort here to keep outsiders from breaking in." I was shocked, hearing what was said over the speakerphone. I felt like my CPU was burning up. How could they say such things with a straight face? Protecting the home. It's clear they just want to use us to scavenge for supplies. If we succeed, great. If not, it doesn't matter if we die. They think we're expendable anyway. My brother patted my shoulder, telling me to calm down. "Hey, uncle, we saw the news. Brianna is on her computer and can't come to the phone right now. What's up?" There was a pause on the other end of the line. I saw on the monitor that Cedric's expression turned sour. "It's Colton. Didn't Brianna say you were on a business trip? Are you back now? Where are you guys? Our supplies are running low. Maybe you could go out and buy some more." "Uncle, are you joking? The streets are crawling with zombies. Going out now is just a death wish." "I remember there's still some food at home. It should last you for a while. By then, the government might have the situation under control." "No, but if you're not coming back, where will you stay? It's unsafe outside." "Maybe." Cedric suddenly paused. "Colton, is it safe where you are? Why don't you drive over and pick us up so your uncle can take shelter too? After all, we're family, and we should stick together through these tough times." That old fox, always quick to catch the scent, he wants us to pick them up. "Dream on, brother. Bake me a cake later. I'll eat it after I finish gaming," I said deliberately. "Sure thing." My brother played along. "Uncle, you're safer in that villa than most, with all those gates around, right? Don't even think about leaving. In times like this, staying indoors is the best option. Anyway, I'm off to bake a cake for Brianna." Colton immediately hung up the phone. "Think he'll be furious." I couldn't help but laugh. "We'll see if he's furious by checking the monitor." On the monitor, Cedric's face turned ashen as soon as the call ended. Cursing under his breath, Camila couldn't keep her cool either. She jumped up from the sofa, playing games. baking cakes. We're trapped here, and they're living it up. Cedric, something doesn't feel right. Where are they? Why did they come back but not return home? Cecilia asked. How should I know? Cedric replied impatiently. Their family owns so much property. They're probably holed up in one of those houses. That doesn't make sense either, even if they have many houses. It's not like each one would be stocked with supplies, right? From the way Brianna spoke, it sounded like they aren't worried about supplies at all. Cecilia pinpointed the crux. Cedric also felt something was off but couldn't figure it out. Eventually, he decided to wait a few days to see how the crisis developed, realizing that pressing us now would only backfire. Just then, a faint howling sound came from a distance. It was soft, but I heard it, and clearly so did my brother, who looked at me with a hint of panic in his eyes. Brianna, you go upstairs. I'll check the locks. I immediately turned off my computer and ran upstairs, while my brother checked the doors and windows on the first floor, then drew all the curtains before following me upstairs. Our grandparents hadn't heard the sound. They were watching a Beijing opera on TV together. Brianna, what's wrong? Why the rush? My grandfather noticed me first and quickly stood up to ask. With my grandmother following suit, Grandpa and Grandma, please lock the room door first. My brother and I will go check it out. My brother and I reached the third-floor window. He operated the drone, and I used binoculars to inspect the area. There were a few zombies wandering outside the villa's main gate. The recent noise was from there, caused by them. One of the zombies was still ramming its head against the gate. Suddenly, memories of being surrounded by zombies in a past life flashed through my mind, sending a chill through my body, my hands trembling uncontrollably. The villa is dozens of kilometers away from the city center. Could the infection have spread here in just a few hours? And with only a few houses on the mountain top, could the zombies have smelled the living from down the hill? I voiced my concerns. But my brother didn't answer immediately and instead asked me to watch the situation on the drone's monitor. A few hundred meters from the gate, there was a Bentley SUV, but no people in sight. Looking at the clothes on the zombies, I understood. They must have been infected on the road, biting each other as they returned home until everyone was gone. I sighed, noticing my palms were sweaty. Fear and tension weakened my legs, and I had to support myself on the table to avoid falling. My brother helped me, then attached a piece of raw meat to the drone, luring the zombies down the mountain. Day 6 of the apocalypse. During this time, Cedric and his family bombarded me with countless calls and messages, none of which I answered. In the monitor, Camila was still lying on the couch playing with her phone, and Cedric had just drawn the curtains. I clearly saw blood stains on them, indicating zombies had visited. Mom, Dad, Colton isn't answering calls or texts. Could they be dead? Humph, it would be best if they were dead, otherwise, see how I'll deal with them later, Cedric said viciously. Yeah, how could there be so little food in this house? We're just having rice with water every day, and even the instant noodles are expired. I'm going crazy, Camila complained despairingly. I smirked, took a photo of the snacks in the living room and the meal on the dining table, and sent it to Camila. She jumped up swearing profusely and immediately sent a video call request, which I accepted. Brianna, where are you? How do you have so much stock? You better come and get us now. Do you hear? Pick you up? Sure, but first, you need to answer a question. Stop beating around the bush. What's the question? Get Cedric on the phone. Hearing his name, Cedric snatched the phone from her. Who do you think you are? No respect. How did your parents raise you? Such a disgrace. I didn't bother arguing with him and went straight to my question. My grandparents were about to eat dinner and looked over when they heard, was the car accident that killed my parents orchestrated by you? At this, the three on the other side changed their expressions dramatically, looking at each other in disbelief and horror. Grandpa supported Grandma as they sat down, their expressions grave. My brother stood by my side, holding a Swiss Army knife, his gaze stern. Brianna, what do you mean by that? Your aunt and uncle died in an accident, and it was thoroughly investigated, Cedric said uneasily. Yeah, Brianna, how can you ask such a thing of your own uncle? Your dad's brother is more heartbroken than anyone, Cecilia agreed, nodding. I lowered my eyelids, unable to suppress a cold laugh. I already know the truth. This is just giving you an opportunity. If you still choose to lie, then you can starve to death, or perhaps being killed by zombies wouldn't be so bad. seeing that I seemed to really know the truth. Cedric and his wife exchanged a glance, and finally admitted their guilt. Grandma was in tears, both sad and angry, while Grandpa snatched my phone and furiously declared that they were unworthy of being human. After that, I hung up the phone and went to comfort the elderly with my brother. Once they went upstairs to rest, I turned my phone back on, only to be bombarded with a slew of unread messages. Camila had been sending voice messages continuously. Her messages were filled with anger and desperate pleas. When she requested a video call again, I hung up. I can only take 2 people with me, you decide amongst yourselves who stays. After all, someone has to pay for my parents' lives, right? Or, I don't mind if all 3 of you starve together. After sending this voice message, I blocked all their contact details. It was simply too headache-inducing. In the surveillance footage, the 3 of them exchanged looks. Enveloped in an oppressive silence, Dad, Mom, I had nothing to do with this. Camila quickly distanced herself, fearful of becoming the scapegoat. Cedric remained silent, and so did Cecilia. At that moment, Colton took 2 cans of Sprite from the fridge. They'll definitely abandon Camila. I looked at him as I took the already opened Sprite can. Why? My brother hesitated, then gave me a look that one would give a naive child. I was speechless. Bro, just say it. I'm already 20. Every time there was a matter involving gender issues, he would look at me like this. Okay. Colton put down the Sprite, resting his elbows on his knees. Back then, Cedric decided against having more children just to get that little subsidy for a second child. But we all know he's always wanted a son. Yes, everyone in the family knew. I immediately understood what my brother meant. If Camila died in this disaster, Cedric could legitimately try for another child since Cecilia was only 35 and could still bear children. Because our grandparents were feeling down, my brother especially prepared a lavish dinner: carrot and corn bone soup, stir-fried celery with pork, oil-free steamed chicken legs, tomato sauce tofu, stir-fried vegetables, steamed egg with shrimp paste, garlic Shanghai greens, and a pot of chicken and mushroom porridge. After comforting them for a while, they finally agreed to come down for dinner and were somewhat calmed by the sight of the carefully prepared dishes. After our family had eaten and drunk to our satisfaction, I returned to my room and turned on the surveillance. This time, I was watching the footage from Cedric and his wife's room. No way, I do not agree to leave Camila behind, Cecilia exclaimed as she stood up from the bed. She is your own daughter. Besides, do you think those siblings will really come for us? We are the reason they lost their parents. They just want us to turn on each other. You fool. It seemed Cedric had indeed been discussing using Camila as the scapegoat with her. I sent my brother a message. You guessed it right, but unexpectedly, Cecilia was quite sharp, guessing my intentions. So what do you propose we do? Do you want all 3 of us to die here? Cedric also stood up. Here's the plan. We pretend to agree on leaving Camila behind. Then, when they come, let them in first. As soon as they enter, hit them with something, knock them out, and force them to tell us where they are staying now. There must be plenty of food and supplies there. Cecilia was plotting maliciously, her expression even showing some excitement. Her long-standing wish has been to kill my siblings and me. I scoffed lightly. This time, it's definitely going to be you who dies. Before going to bed at night, I removed that family's WeChat contacts and created a group, posting a photo there, wishing them sweet dreams. What was the photo? It was a picture of my grandmother handing me a milk. After sending it, I muted the notifications and continued to block them. I could already imagine the 3 of them jumping up in anger, and just thinking about it made me laugh. Day 10 of the apocalypse. Lunch was still 3 dishes and a soup: clear stewed beef with radishes, garlic broccoli, minced meat, steamed eggs, and mushroom tofu. After lunch, I turned on the surveillance for the suburban villa. There was no one on the first floor, and I noticed they had moved things like wardrobes and bookcases to the living room, blocking the doors and windows, with tables blocking the stairway entrance. What was going on? The induction cooker, pots, pans, and all the utensils were moved to the second floor. The 3 of them were in one room. Camila sat on a chair by the window. Cedric lay on the bed, and Cecilia was bringing lunch to the table. 3 bowls of rice, each topped with only a few vegetable leaves. Not this again. Camila yelled in despair. What else do you want to eat? After this meal, you won't even have vegetable leaves left. I glanced at the food on the floor. half a bag of rice left, half a bucket of water, 2 tomatoes, 1 potato, and the instant noodles were untouched. It seems they've been conserving food these past few days. Just then, my brother brought me a plate of cake, so I pulled them back into the chat and sent another photo to the group. My brother baked a cake. Camila, want some? Oh, if I keep eating like this, I'm going to get fat. By the way, have you made up your minds yet? Several voice messages immediately popped up in the group. First was Camila cursing furiously, then Cecilia, and finally Cedric. We've decided, Brianna, we've decided to let your sister stay. She's young and healthy, can withstand hunger. Come pick us up this afternoon. Otherwise the car lights might attract zombies at night. My gaze returned to the surveillance, enjoying Camila's hysterical cursing. Are you even human, Mom and Dad? I'm your daughter, and you want to leave me behind? I'm only 15, I can live a long time. You two will definitely go before me. It should be you who stay behind. Shut up, Cecilia scolded. Camila didn't listen and kept shouting. You want to kill your daughter after killing your son and daughter-in-law. Such heartless people don't deserve to live. I'll tell Brianna to come get me. I didn't harm her parents. I shouldn't be the one to die. At that, Cedric raised his hand and slapped her. You disobedient child. How dare you curse me to die early? He was probably furious, as he took off his belt and started hitting Camila. The house was immediately filled with Camila's screams, and Cecilia, as her mother, did not stop him. She turned her back on the father and daughter. Peeping through a corner of the curtain to check outside. Stop, stop, Cecilia suddenly panicked, dropping the curtain and desperately stopping Cedric. The noise is attracting the zombies. If we make more noise we'll all die here. Cedric immediately stopped, his face showing a look of terror. I switched to the outdoor surveillance. Indeed, many zombies were approaching. I suddenly remembered Wang Yang. Their house is next to mine. Could the gathering of zombies pose a threat to them? I immediately had my brother send him a message to prepare. Wang Yang sent a voice message back. Don't worry about us. My dad and I are taking turns monitoring, and we've already taken measures thanks to your warning, otherwise we wouldn't be able to withstand the wave of zombies. A few minutes later, another message came through. Zombies are all around your house. It was accompanied by a photo. I glanced at it. The photo was well taken, full of a horrific atmosphere. I asked my brother to forward it to me, and then I posted it in the group, but those three didn't have time to look at their phones. Cecilia and Cedric dragged Camila to the bed, then stood the sofa up and moved it to block the door. Honey, will they break in? I don't want to die. Cecilia shrank in fear into Cedric's arms, sobbing quietly. The villa's main gate had already been broken down, leaving only the doors and windows to hold up, if a horde of zombies surrounded the villa. Breaking in was only a matter of time. Cedric seemed to realize this too, so he couldn't respond to his wife's words, only holding her tightly. Zombies didn't stay long, as the villa's curtains were tightly drawn. After arriving and hearing no sounds or seeing no one, they quickly dispersed. At dinner time, Cedric sent me a video call request. Of course, I accepted. Brianna, how did you get this photo? Are you nearby us? Cedric's voice abruptly stopped. Grandpa unintentionally walked into the frame. He was heading to the kitchen to cut some watermelon and just passed behind me. Are you with your grandparents? Cedric looked incredulous. Don't they always live in the suburbs? Are you in the suburbs? If you just came back from a trip, you couldn't possibly pass by there. We're not in the suburbs. Then where are you? Why do you care so much? Just know we have enough food and supplies, and don't worry about starving. Cedric immediately erupted in anger. You little wretch, I'm your uncle. How dare you speak to me like that? Tell me, where are you? Come pick us up. A mocking smile appeared on my face, just about to speak, when my brother took the tablet from me. Pick you up, the ones responsible for our parents' deaths. Dream on, my brother shouted, leaving Cedric stunned. Let me tell you. We never planned to pick you up, even if there were no zombies nearby. We wouldn't go. We'd be happiest if you were the ones dead, my brother said and immediately hung up the call. Don't answer their calls anymore. They're bad luck. I waved my hand in agreement. On the monitor, Cedric and his wife's faces turned ashen. They had hoped we would come for them, but now only despair remained. We should have killed them both from the start. Cecilia gritted her teeth viciously, her face filled with fury. They're just here to collect debts. Our family collecting debts. I laughed. After all, who are the real murderers? Watching this family, I couldn't help feeling disgusted. How biased could grandparents be to spoil someone to this extent? My eyes briefly caught Camila lying on the bed, and I suddenly felt some sympathy for her. Not everyone is fortunate enough to have beasts for parents. In these apocalyptic times, a father beats his daughter to near death, completely disregarding any familial bonds. Tragic, truly tragic. Day 14 of the apocalypse. The villa area has been quite peaceful, likely because most people here bought these houses as second homes, like us who usually live in the city, so there weren't many people around. That day, I was watering the plants on the rooftop when sudden noises from outside startled me, and I hurried downstairs. My brother was standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window on the third floor, iPad in hand, checking the surveillance footage. Turning to me as he heard me descend, he said, "It's those security guards." Indeed, there were quite a few of them. "Why are they all outside our house? This house definitely has a stockpile," one of the security guards said. "Yeah, look, they even have an electric fence installed. Who puts that on their walls for no reason? Even if they have supplies, we can't get in. Look at this electric fence. And that huge iron gate. Let's play pitiful first. Get them to let us in, then we can take control of the siblings. Everything inside will belong to us, and we'll definitely be safe until help arrives." My brother and I, survival instincts really do extinguish humanity. Then, the group outside started their act, loudly begging us to take them in. My brother brought out a drone, attached a phone to it, and flew it from the third floor to the rooftop, and then over their heads. The drone hovered above the guards. My brother called out to them from inside, startling them. They looked around for the source of the voice before finally spotting the drone overhead. "We heard everything you just said. You had it all figured out. Huh, I regret giving you those supplies earlier. If you had starved earlier, we wouldn't be dealing with this now." The guards were stunned. "We do have supplies. If you're capable, come in." I also grabbed a drone, not to use on them, but to scout the rest of the villa complex to see if anyone else was around. After being exposed, the guards immediately dropped their act and started to violently break down the gate. Using their bodies and stones, they tried to break in, but they couldn't pick the lock because the gate had a password. "Listen up, people inside. If you let us in now, we can all live together peacefully. Otherwise, once we break in, things are going to be different. Think carefully," my brother scoffed. Tired of their threats, and retrieved the drone. The gate remained intact, and the guards, exhausted, sat down to catch their breath. The second drone also returned. Apart from us, there was no one else around. Almost every house had its curtains undrawn, indicating no presence. Some doors were open, which I guessed had been done by the guards searching for supplies. "Let's go back, get some tools, and come back," they said as they left. After the guards left, I breathed a sigh of relief. Although I wasn't worried about them breaking in, having people constantly outside was unsettling, since there were no other people in the villa complex. In the evening, our family set up a barbecue on the rooftop. My brother picked some vegetables from the yard. I and my grandfather prepared the meat, and my grandmother made some snacks. Our family sat together, eating barbecue, chatting, and watching the stars, feeling more peaceful and comfortable than before the apocalypse. I suddenly wondered, what could Cedric and his family be doing now? So, I turned on the surveillance camera. I saw Cedric's family hurriedly unlocking their door, rushing inside, and locking it behind them. All three of them were covered in blood, and Camila was holding a bag of rice and a bag of instant noodles. "Did they go looting?" my brother asked as he handed me a skewer. Later, Wang Yang told us the answer. Cedric and his family had indeed gone looting, since the Wang's house was next door, and the father and son took turns monitoring the surroundings. They were well aware of the movements outside. Zombies weren't in the villa complex every day. Whenever it was quiet outside, they would go out to loot supplies. They used Camila to act pitiful and trick people into opening their doors. Once they got the door open, the three of them would rush in and loot. They even resorted to murder. The ugly side of humanity was fully displayed in their actions. I turned off the surveillance, unable to watch any further. I wished to see them struggling, not thriving like this. Grandfather shook his head, grandmother sighed, and my brother was furious. We avoided the zombies, but not these beasts. He picked up his phone and began texting as I got up and walked over to see. He was messaging Wang Yang. My brother asked him if his family had a drone. Wang Yang said they did, so my brother asked for a favor. The next time that family went out looting supplies, they were to use the drone to create noise to attract zombies. We couldn't let that family continue causing trouble. Wang Yang was initially unaware of the feud between us and Cedric's family. At first, he didn't share this information in the property group chat because they were our relatives. But now that it was clear the two families were not on good terms, he had no reservations, so, Wang Yang agreed. In the past few days, suddenly a number of zombies started passing by the hilltop villas. I think they wandered over from other places and ended up here. Fortunately, the main gate is sturdy, and no zombies have broken in. While no zombies from the outside have entered, I did see some inside. In the villa farthest from my house, I saw two zombies wandering around in the yard. And the curtains were tightly drawn. I guessed there were people inside. Where did these zombies come from? Later, I saw two elderly people and a little girl on the rooftop of that house, about the same age as my grandparents, all watching the zombies in the yard. They were not panicked. I wondered, could they be the girl's parents? Their house had an iron gate. From outside, you could see inside. Probably why the security didn't break in after seeing the zombies. I took a drone with a phone attached to communicate with them, and eventually found out that the couple had been living there with their granddaughter. Half a month ago, their son and daughter-in-law suddenly arrived and locked the door from the inside. Minutes later, they turned into zombies. The mutation of the zombies seems to take quite a while, I thought. The grandmother wanted to go and see what happened, but fortunately, the grandfather held her back. Or else the entire family would have been doomed. Later, my brother and I used an agricultural drone to send them a bag of rice, a barrel of oil, a bag of vegetables, and a bag of pork. Since the water hadn't been cut off, we only sent 10 bottles of mineral water. The elderly couple cheerfully said they actually had quite a stockpile, as they were permanent residents here and had the habit of hoarding. When the drone returned, 8 security guards had arrived. Each looking more menacing than the last. They were well equipped this time, carrying knives, axes, hammers, and the like, clearly determined to break in. I opened the curtains on the second floor, sat on a small stool in front of the floor-to-ceiling window picking vegetables, with the iPad on another stool, leisurely watching them exert themselves in vain. It's funny, this is a blast-proof door, the highest grade at that. If you can break it, I lose. The guard keeping watch saw me on the second floor, clearly agitated, and then gritted his teeth while talking to someone next to him. Their conversation came through the surveillance. This door is too tough, we can't smash it open, said the guard with the hammer, deflatedly sitting down. What do we do then? Asked guard 2. Since it's hard to keep calling them by numbers, let's just call them 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Maybe we should just leave. We've searched all the villas we could. If we don't leave we'll starve here, said guard 3. Leave? To where? Didn't you see the news? You want to go and die? Guard 2 shouted. I don't believe it, let's keep smashing. I took the vegetables I had picked downstairs and then continued watching their performance. All I saw was their dejected retreat back to their dormitory. Day 20 of the apocalypse. Wang Yang messaged saying that the water had stopped last night. Our area hadn't been affected. Probably because the villa area gets its water from a private mountain spring. When I opened the surveillance, 3 people were eating instant noodles. Of course, ahem. Camila seemed to be choking, her face turning red. I'm almost choked to death. She slammed the noodles she was holding onto the table, causing them to break apart instantly. Cedric and his wife looked up at her. During this time, they had been out looking for supplies, but surprisingly, no one was willing to open their doors for them. Some even exposed their past actions and hurled insults at them. Now, they were practically running out of food and supplies. With the water supply cut off, the remaining rice was inedible, leaving them to gnaw on expired instant noodles. If you don't want to eat, then starve, Cedric said as he carefully gathered the noodles, stuffing them into his pocket. He was truly trying everything to make the most of what little they had. Suddenly, there was a noise from downstairs, and the 3 of them immediately fell silent. What was that sound? Cecilia stood up nervously. Dad, why don't you go check it out? Me, what if it's a zombie? Do you want me to die? I'm not going. None of them wanted to go, but the noises from downstairs grew louder. They stood together, each holding a knife. Then came the sound of the bedroom door being hit. I could clearly see them starting to sweat from their foreheads. The pounding grew louder until a cabinet fell over, and the door was finally forced open. It wasn't a zombie. Instead, several armed men entered, each holding a gun. "Are you here to rescue us?" Camila was the first to react, rushing to them, crying and begging them to take her away. "Please, please save us. We're about to starve," Cecilia added. Only Cedric remained silent, his expression uneasy. He might have sensed that these people weren't rescuers, and I felt it too. One of them had a tattoo visible on his hand, something unlikely for a soldier. "Rescue you," the leader, laughed as he approached and grabbed Camila by the chin, lifting her face. "How old are you?" 15. "My daughter is only 15. Please, you have to save her, and us too. We have nothing left to eat," Cecilia pleaded. "Nothing left to eat," the bulky man, frowned as he looked around, finally walking towards where the rice and noodles were kept. "The noodles are expired." "Just half a bag of rice, boss. It's a wasted trip. I thought with such a sturdy blockade there would be plenty of food. Let's get out of here then, before those man-eating things return. This door won't hold them off," said C. "All right, you come with us," A said lewdly, his hand already on Camila's waist. Only then did Cecilia realize they were not the good guys. She quickly pulled Camila back and shielded her, with Cedric also stepping forward. "You're not from the government, are you?" he asked. "What does it matter to you?" Dee spoke impatiently. "Then we can't go with you. Outside is full of zombies, and it's too dangerous. Who said we're taking you with us?" A admired the gun in his hand, pretending to blow off non-existent dust. "I only want her." Cecilia's eyes widened. "Her? Why take my daughter? She's so young. She can't kill zombies." "Who said anything about her killing zombies? Our boss has taken a liking to your daughter. It's her good fortune. It's better to go with them than to starve here," Dee said as he stepped forward, pushing Cecilia aside and taking Camila with him. "No, no, give me back my daughter Camila, come back," Cecilia cried out, attempting to move forward and take her daughter back, only to be stopped by a heavy-set man pointing a gun at her head, frightening her into immobility. Cedric quickly wrapped his arms around her to keep her from moving. "I'll go with you, I'll go with you," Camila unexpectedly spoke up, seeming quite willing to leave with the strangers. Cedric and his wife were in shock. "Camila, what are you saying?" Cecilia asked in disbelief. "Why wouldn't I go with them? Would I stay here and starve with you? You use me to deceive others and say I should eat less because I'm young. Who would want that?" Camila argued defiantly, completely disregarding her biological parents' situation. In the end, Camila left with the group, leaving her parents questioning their existence. "Like they say, a family of cold hearts doesn't make a home," Grandpa commented, having heard every word from the monitor. I found myself agreeing with him. If Cedric could beat his daughter senseless, Camila certainly could disregard her parents' fate. Day 26 of the apocalypse. Today, Wang Yang sent a WeChat message saying the zombies had suddenly returned. Our door was broken, and zombies were entering. I was watching a show while eating a pancake made by Grandma when I heard this and immediately checked the surveillance. The couple had moved to the third floor. The group had destroyed the doors below the second floor, but I had locked all the rooms on the third floor except for one study. Cedric sat at the desk, and Cecilia on an armchair, both sitting in silence so profound it felt suffocating to me. They had only 2 packs of instant noodles left. "Honey, should we go look for more? Check if the water is back. Those things weren't around these past few days. Maybe we can find some food, or else we'll really die," Cecilia suggested. Cedric evidently had the same thought, and asked Cecilia to grab something for defense as they headed downstairs. As they reached the stairwell, they froze, shocked by the number of zombies below. Cedric was the first to snap out of it and immediately ran back. Cecilia, delayed by a few seconds, quickly followed. Unfortunately, the zombies were already rushing up. As they reached the door to the study, Cedric hurried inside. Cecilia could have made it too, but Cedric chose to close the door even though the zombies were still several steps away from her. Then, I heard Cecilia's desperate cries from outside, gradually fading until they were silenced. The zombies, having not fed for a while, devoured Cecilia, as I saw clearly from the hallway surveillance. I felt nauseous. It was too bloody, too gruesome. Looking at Cedric inside, he kept taking deep breaths, his face showing only the relief and fear of having survived. Without a trace of guilt for abandoning his wife, he pushed a bookcase over and tipped the desk to barricade the door securely. Finally, I saw him move to the sofa, lie on the floor, and pull out several bags of bread and even some bottled water. He suddenly laughed, relieved that Cecilia was gone because now he wouldn't have to hide these supplies any longer. Cedric's selfish cruelty repulsed me. A demon is surely a demon, but a human may not always be humane. Day 30 of the apocalypse. It's been a month since the city was besieged by zombies. During this time, my family has been safe and comfortable on the mountain top, while the situation below resembles hell on earth, with zombies increasing and the number of survivors dwindling. One day, zombies suddenly appeared outside the home of two elderly people. Not just one, I counted 10. My brother and I used a drone to check on the elderly couple's home and found that their front door had been forcefully broken, with traces of blood inside. I began to suspect something, and eventually learned over the phone that the security guards had been frequenting the area around their home. That day, not seeing any zombies inside, the guards broke down the door and then took their meals. Now, we too had to worry about zombies breaking in, although our villa was fortified like a fortress. My brother gathered all the vegetables grown in the yard and stored them in the fridge, advising that we shouldn't open the downstairs door for a while. Even though the zombies alone couldn't break through our doors, it was better to be cautious. On day 32 of this apocalypse, I turned on the surveillance and saw Cedric standing by the window, lost in thought. He used to be somewhat chubby, but now he was terribly thin, unkempt with his beard and hair messy, and his eyes lifeless like those of a zombie. I turned on the surveillance speaker. "Uncle, how are you holding up?" Cedric, startled by the sudden sound, fell to the ground. "Brianna, is that you?" "It's me, Uncle. Why are you so scared? Get up, the floor must be cold." Suddenly, Cedric turned pale. "How did you know I was on the floor?" "Brianna, are you nearby? Please come and save me. I'm begging you. I know I was wrong. I regret the foolish things I've done. I promise to apologize to your parents when this is over, but please, save me now." He knelt and bowed frantically in all directions. Fearing I couldn't see clearly, I remained silent, and he probably thought I was hesitating and softened, so he began bowing even more vigorously, soon bleeding from his forehead. How ironic, planning to apologize later. Why not atone now? Cecilia could have lived, but you locked her out and she died. If I come to save you, wouldn't you just use me as a shield against the zombies? Cedric stopped, lifting a face filled with doubt. "How did you know she died? Could it be?" Cedric realized suddenly. "I get it, you must have installed surveillance." "Yes, should I give you another chance?" Foolish Cedric, already tricked once, still chose to gamble, continually pleading for another chance. I told him that if he found the surveillance camera, I would come to save him. Cedric believed it. People in desperate situations cling to any straw, even if it can't truly save them. Cedric rummaged through drawers, overturned pots, and knocked down chairs, creating quite a commotion. The noise attracted the attention of zombies downstairs, and soon, the sounds of their growls and banging echoed outside the study. This was the result I wanted. Cedric stopped his frantic search, panic setting in, and he began to kneel and bow again. "Brianna, you need to come and save me, please. I'll help you find what you need later." "Okay, I've searched everywhere in this house. If I keep looking, the zombies will break in. I'm begging you, please help." I watched all of this dispassionately, recalling the painful memories of how they had betrayed my brother in the past and left me to be devoured by a horde of corpses. The pain throbbed at my temples. "Just die, right now. You definitely won't find it. I had someone install a pinhole camera." "Dear uncle, this is my last call to you. When you see my parents, remember to bow your head like you did just now. Goodbye." After hearing this, he just sat down on the ground, his face ashen. At that moment, the door was smashed open, and a group of zombies rushed in. He was quickly torn apart. "Stop watching." My brother appeared behind me and reached out to turn off the monitor. "He's lived longer than he deserved. Fate has been kind." I nodded, put down the tablet, and playfully clung to my brother's arm, asking him to make me some egg tarts. The last time I saw Camila was in a video sent to my brother by Wang Yang. At that time, the zombie presence in the villa area wasn't very heavy. One day, Wang Yang heard some noise from next door. On closer inspection, he saw a zombie banging on the front door, which was already open. The more he watched, the more familiar it seemed, until he realized it was Colton's cousin, so he recorded a video for us. I felt a bit melancholic. She couldn't trust her parents and instead placed her trust in a group with ill intentions, ultimately failing to save herself. But I felt no sympathy, nor regret for not saving her. It was all karmic retribution. 5 months after the zombie outbreak, the electricity, which had stopped in the second month, had just begun to be restored a few days ago. One morning, we were all awakened by gunfire outside and hurried to check. We saw that the zombies, now just skeletons, had all fallen to the ground. Not far away, there was an off-road vehicle and a few men who also saw us and waved. We couldn't trust them outright, so we sent a drone to communicate. After talking, we realized they were soldiers searching for survivors. It turned out the government had been working all along to rescue people, and hope was always there. In the 8th month, experts successfully developed a treatment for the virus. The military was clearing zombies everywhere, and the number of zombies was decreasing by the day. More and more people were speaking online, all waiting for national rescue, waiting for the world to return to normal. With the threat of zombies gone, we brought the elderly and children over, safely spending our days here, growing vegetables, enjoying outdoor barbecues, and swimming in the pool, as if zombies had never existed. What shall we eat today? Let's start with a stewed radish and pork dish. And, side story, Wang Yang's apocalypse survival. Lately, the siblings next door have been acting unusually. Colton called me over to help, and upon arriving, I was taken aback by the mountain of stuff. Could it be another lockdown? But everything was open now. I didn't understand. At that moment, I hadn't thought much about it. It wasn't until my second visit to Colton's hilltop villa that I felt something was off. The walls were lined with electric fences and explosion-proof windows, and surveillance cameras were everywhere, even 3 just outside the main gate. What normal person does this? Suddenly, I remembered the zombie novels I had read. Could it be? A chill ran through me, and this premonition grew stronger. So, I decided to go home immediately and fortify my doors and windows. Back in the city, I went to the building materials market to buy doors and windows, then returned home to shop for other necessities online. As the workers were fitting the doors and windows, Colton and his sister returned. They stood at my doorstep for a while, and when Colton left, he patted my shoulder. He didn't ask why I was doing this, which only confirmed my suspicions. I had put everything I bought online into the storage room. After dinner, I managed to coax my parents into going shopping with me. It had been a long while since the whole family went to the supermarket together. Although they kept saying I was acting crazy, they seemed quite happy. When we finally left the supermarket, each of us was carrying 2 big bags of goods. I knew it wasn't enough, having seen the stockpile Colton and his family had amassed. There was no comparison. Later, Colton brought me a lot more stuff, including some self-defense weapons and feminine products, which I knew must have been sent by Brianna. I was deeply grateful to them. The next day, I woke up at 6, quickly got ready, and drove around shopping back and forth several times. The last trip was around noon. When I got back, my parents were eating in the kitchen but immediately dropped their chopsticks when they saw me. They came to the garage and, seeing it filled with stuff, asked what I was doing. My dad even asked if I was sick. I couldn't explain. I just asked Dad to help me move everything inside first. He insisted I eat first. After eating, while moving the items, Dad couldn't hold back any longer when he saw the 10 bags of rice. He scolded me, asking if I was planning to send aid to Africa. It was around 3 o'clock. Mom was watching TV, flipping through channels when she stopped at the national news showing a man biting man incident. Oh my God, it really happened. We looked at each other in shock. I saw the terror erupt in my parents' eyes. Looks like zombies, Dad said. Afterward, we began to struggle through the apocalypse. Uncle Colton's family moved in next door. After the zombie outbreak had gone on for a while, they took advantage of the absence of zombies nearby to deceive people and steal supplies, even trying to break into our house. In the end, I only saw that girl. She had turned into a zombie, and whether consciously or not, she kept circling next door. At dusk, our family sat on the rooftop, surrounded by eerie silence, until a gunshot rang out. We looked over, and it was armed soldiers. The girl was killed, We held out until the rescue. What a relief. From Camila's perspective, our family finally moved into Brianna's big villa, but little did we know that this was just the beginning of a nightmare. That day, as I was lying on the sofa playing with my phone, sudden screams and cries for help came from outside. Just as I got up to see what was happening, I saw my parents rush in, their expressions frantic, as soon as they entered. They immediately locked the door as if something was chasing them. Mom, Dad, what's happening? They ignored me, quickly drew all the curtains on the first floor, and then ran upstairs. Then, my phone beeped. It was a message from my class group. The class monitor had sent a link. I clicked on it, and my legs immediately went weak, and I collapsed back onto the sofa, my hands trembling. The images were aerial shots. The first showed a person being bitten by several others. One of the attackers looked up, his face covered in blood, his features distorted and eyes bloodshot, looking completely monstrous. Classmates, I've received reliable information that zombies have appeared, just like the ones from the movies. Everyone must stay at home and not go outside. Protect yourselves and wait for national rescue. In the days that followed, we lived in a haze, with constant screams from outside. We dared not pull back the curtains. The front door was originally defensible, but was forced open by a few people trying to break in, only to be taken down by the zombies. Every day, I am consumed by fear. Fear of the zombies, fear of starving to death. Seeing Brianna so carefree, without worries about food or drink and no trace of concern on her face, I felt incredibly jealous. She suggested we leave someone behind as a scapegoat. I knew my dad would choose me. He's always only paid lip service to loving me. If he had the chance to have a son, he wouldn't spare me a second glance. A few words of defiance and he would beat me half to death. Life became increasingly unbearable. With no water and only dry instant noodles to eat, I left with those people, hiding every day in a house with nothing to eat or drink. I had enough of that life, I thought. Relying on my looks and body, I should be able to survive a long time, right? These men wouldn't leave me behind, considering it's not easy to find a woman in these apocalyptic times, I thought. But I was wrong. The day I was bitten, they took me as usual to raid someone's house for supplies. Unexpectedly, there were 5 or 6 zombies inside the house. Even though the door was clearly locked, how could there be zombies inside? I never got the answer to that question. In the end, they started shooting wildly and eventually pushed me into a crowd of zombies and ran away. In the last second of my human consciousness, all I could think of were my mother and the father who had beaten me half to death. Were they still clinging to life?